welcome to Winter Disco Tabletop Gaming. In this video we are putting together the, what are they called? Myrmourn Banshees from Mortal Realms Issue number 2, down the bottom there. We already have the review of this issue, and accompanying that we will be having the construction. So all the rules are, my goodness me, all the instructions are in the booklet here, as you can see, and they're pretty straightforward. There's like 2 bits, 3 bits, 2 bits, so pretty straightforward. But I also wanted to look at the sprue again, if I can bring that up into the camera here, just at the detail on the bases. Like, there is so much detail there. I love it. We might have a closer look later. So let's get stuck into it. First up, we need to do number 1. So it is a couple of pieces here. So we need 10, 11 and 12. So 11 and 12 go together, then you put it to 10 and then you put it in 9. So let's get that out of the sprue. So the numbers go this way here. So number 12 you're looking at is down on the bottom there. And I'm still in the middle of makeshift studio at the moment because I've been sick and in and out of hospital for the last couple of days, or the last week. It's actually been longer than that. Things have been all over the place, but I'm definitely feeling better, and I thought today I'll be able to do a video. So with this bit here, just be careful. If we get that in view, get that up to the camera there, so get that in focus. Is it focusing? Kind of. The hands, everything's really flimsy on these models, so you just have to be a little bit careful. We also need piece 10, which is, it's always good to find them first. Okay, so 10 is on the bottom here. So these models are pretty straightforward to put together. Nothing really overly difficult here, but they do have lots of little bits and pieces you can see. And if you can see on that bit, there's a little bit that's shaved off there. We also need 9. So 9 is, if I can find it, that's 7, 3, 15, 9. Okay. So it's the one on the right hand side. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time cleaning it up, just so we can get through the construction. But you can see there's a big bit of sprue there that is really annoying, and I know that's going to get everyone really annoyed, but we're putting these together and we can fix that up once it's all put together. Yeah, there's lots of bits in there to fix up. So first we need 11 and 12, which is the body with the arms and the face with like the corset. So you can see it is a push fit model. As you can see, it goes together, but we'll put a little bit of glue in there, just a little touch here and there, just enough to hold it together. Of course you don't need to do that, but I like to do that. So hopefully the lighting isn't too bad. I know I'm casting a bit of shadow at the moment, but I need, like I said, I'm in the middle of moving stuff. So there we go, that's all joined together. If that's in focus there, I can't tell if it's in focus, it's a bit difficult to focus at the moment. We'll get there, kind of, there we go. So it's a little join there, it's a little bit of a gap, so you just push that in and wiggle it around until it comes together. Then we need to put 10 on the back. So you can see with the back of the head there is a peg there, and there's also on, I guess we'll call it a cape, it's not really a cape but we'll call it that, there's a little groove there as well. So with this one, a little bit of glue in there and just on the ends there. You don't want to get glue too much on these ones because they are pretty delicate, and you can see that there is a very big line there. So what I normally like to do is get glue all over the place, put some glue in there and all over there. What you can do is you can glue all this together, overlap with a lot of glue, and then you can come back and scrape it off, because we're gonna have to scrape it off anyway because we do have the big mold join pieces in there. But yeah, it's not pretty. It is really difficult to do, particularly on this kind of fabric material. There's really no spot for it. So you can definitely come back and clean that up, which we will do. But what I will do, we do have the 2 pegs here, but I will clean that up a little bit. So, and I've got glue everywhere. So, looks like this is the back, get it in focus there, this sort of stone work is the back, and then the 2 holes go in there. And I will glue these down. I mean, you can always not do it this way and not glue them in. So it's a little fiddly because essentially you're trying to push in 2 different bits, and I'm trying not to push it in and move stuff around. So it is a bit difficult, but it'll eventually go in. And what you might find is you'll want to let this section of it all dry and then push it in, simply because you have these 2 bits here that aren't really connected. There is a little joint in there that you can put together, and I can see massive gaps everywhere now, so that's really going to annoy me. But yeah, I mean, one of the things you can do is trim down the pegs as well. That's another thing. So you wait for this to completely dry and then put it into the base. But it seemed to have worked, and if you can wiggle it around, it'll go in eventually. Okay, so there we go. There's one of them. Next up, we need to do 2A. So 2A again has a bunch of different pieces. So we have a bit of like a tombstone, I guess, and then the front of the body and an arm attached to that. So that's 13, 14. The base is 15. And then there's the head bit, which glues in, which is 16. So it's a little, oops, sorry, knocked the camera. It's a little fiddly, but we will make do. So we need 13 and 14. So 14 is here, so it's actually a fairly big bit. In the images, it doesn't quite look that big, but, you know, it is what it is. It's just the angle that they've taken the 3D shots. What else do we need? 13, which is this big bit here. Again, in the images, it does not look that big. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's just the nature of perspective on 3D shots. So we've got that one. We also need 15, which is this base here on the bottom of the sprue. And the head here. And this is a little bit fiddly. You can see that there's a weird bit. I'm just going to double check. Yeah, you might not be able to see it on camera, but there is a little obvious little line there that you can duck into. And that bit there, so that's all of that. Again, I'm not going to take bits of the sprue off, that the leftover bits, like there's a bit just in there that if you can see it. I'm not going to take that off. Actually, I am going to take this bit off because that's really annoying. At the end, I will show you how you can take that off. But I just want to get these all put together instead of spending time filing down everything. So we need 13 and 14. So this bit here, so the image itself, if we have a look at it, it is a little strange, but it does, let me get anything shot, a little strange, but it does give you an idea of what the insert is. So there is a little notch just in there, and then there is a little hole that matches that just in there. It's a little difficult to see, so if we go like that, I don't know if you can see it because of the shadow, but you can see that it does slide in there very well, and then there's some other notches that seem to hook in. So I'll actually put the glue into this bit. It's definitely worth getting some glue for this. They are fiddly, so that's going to go together nicely. Gluing that together. Right. Whoops. Yeah, it doesn't hurt just to hold on to it. Particularly this bit, because you can see how it, I don't know if you can see, but it moves around a fair bit. We're going to get that in so it's actually glued in properly. So if you don't know about this glue, it's plastic glue. It actually melts the plastic together and welds it. So yeah, you can hold it in for a little bit and it will be okay. So I'm just going to hold that there just for a little bit longer. There we go, that feels good. It does move around, but it'll be fine. Now we need to push this into the base. So this is a difficult one. It has to be done correctly. So you can orientate the base to look like it should. This is actually really difficult. So if you're looking at the image, it looks like this is the angle if I get the right base there. So you can see on the base, a little pointer, there is like a vine that goes over the top. Sorry about the shadow. I don't know why there's so much shadow at the moment on this. weird. Let's go over here. There's a little vine there, and that matches up to the image. So it goes in. If we put this in, let's just test fit it first. So, okay, pretty straightforward, I think. Actually, I'm actually going to do it backwards, just so you can see. So on here, you can see a long gap there and a shorter one. What this matches up to is the long, get on the camera, long one along there and the shorter one. So I'm actually just going to put some glue in here. So I'm doing this sort of in reverse. Rather than putting it on the pegs, I sometimes just like to put it on the base itself and then push it in, because these models are pretty delicate. So you can see I'm not quite sure exactly where to grab hold of it. Push it down. Okay. Okay, that seemed to go in fairly well. It's not... Yeah, there we go. So that's all in there. Then the next step, we need to put this piece on. So there is a... don't know if you can see it there. There is a hole in there that will match up. And there also is a notch just there. So, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. You don't really need to test fit it. But I just like to put a little bit of glue in there, and the rest will go together. So, keep on camera. And there is also... I'm just trying to match this up. Okay, there's also there's another notch as well that this will slide in. You can't quite see it at the moment, but that piece there, is actually a little hole that slides in. And again, it takes some fiddling to get it lined up perfectly, but yeah. Okay, this is why you should clean the pieces first. You can see there is a little bit sticking out there, so I'm just going to trim that up. It's not great at the moment, and I'll show you how to do this at the end of the video, but you should always technically do this first, and that's why this piece isn't sticking together well. So, okay, I can see it in there. I'm just doing some surgery on it. It's not great. This is not ideal. You can't actually even see it on camera. Hopefully it's not too blurred. Okay, that might have solved the issue. But if it doesn't, that's fine. I mean, there is a really big gap there now. But with some bit of trickery, we'll put some glue in there and along there. This might seem a bit strange, but we can come back and clean this up and push it together. And it will create like a bond in there, so you won't even really notice that. And you can come back with a like one part of your knife or one of these ones and just sort of clean it up. But I think that will be fine. So there we go. There's our second one done. Third. Looks like this is a little bit easier. More complicated pieces. Actually, it's about the same kind of thing. It's about 4 pieces in each model. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So put the 2 bodies together, stick on the head, stick it in the base. So let's grab that one. Get all these tools out of the way. 5, 6. So that's 6 there. And we're looking for 5. So 5 is a fairly big piece actually. So, yeah, I'm actually going to clean this one off. So, we'll come back to that in a second. But I just want to... just looking here, because there's a big bit of the sprue coming off. I don't think that needs to be connected, so we can cut that off. And the more of these you do, the more you know what needs to be there. You can see this piece is really delicate and flimsy, so just be super careful. And you can tell when it starts to bend because you do get this whiteness. Let's see if I can bring it in. You can see just above the wrist there is a bit of white, or a lighter grey. That means it is starting to bend a bit. So, okay, so what I wanted to do on here, to avoid what happened before, and this is what you should do with every piece, I'm just trying to do this quickly, there's bits here that you should always cut off and trim down, particularly on these kind of models. So trim away what you can with your scissors, whatever they're called, clippers. You can come back with a knife and start cleaning that up. Sometimes you might need to cut, so you can see here. Always be careful. Use a new blade. I've put in a new blade, so that's good. So I've cut it away, but now I have a mold line remover that I want to use, and that will come up nicely. On these models, I can't really find any mold lines to show you, so sometimes you'll find mold lines like along here. It's sort of where the two pieces of the mold join and a little bit of plastic oozes out. You can like come in and just scrape that away. Pretty straightforward. On this one, I'm not really going to do too much work. I think it'll be fine. Actually, I will clean this up a bit. And yeah, that'll be fine. I'm not going to muck around too much. Okay, then we need piece number 7, which is a head, which is 8, sorry. 7 is the base. So we get the base. That's 7. And with these easy to build kits, the models themselves usually have some really nice bases. So that's always nice. And then we need 8, which is this one here. Okay. And on this one you can actually see a mold line. Let's see if I can actually get that in shot. I don't know if you can see, but there is a clear, where that dot is there and dot there, there is a line. And if you just scrape away, it will come away. And again, I'm not going to do this perfectly. There's little bits I will chop off, but overall, we can come back and fix stuff up and deal with that. So, instructions, let's go back. So 5 and 6, it is this bit and that bit. So they join together. So you can see on here, if I can get the not in the shadow, which is really frustrating at the moment, 2 little notches that go into the 2 little slots there. So if we put that together, that will go like that. So you have the front of the body and then sort of like a cape. Not really a cape, but something along those lines. And sometimes there's some other spots that will join. So I've just rubbed a little bit of glue. Like, you don't need much. In fact, I'm probably using too much as it is. And you'll see there's a few different spots that it can join up. So yeah, these models are fiddly, I think, for easy to build models. But they do have the notches and pegs, so you can figure it out. And the instructions are pretty clear. It gives you a good indication of what goes where. So I'm just holding this in again because it is a bit flimsy. And it does seem to fall off. Sometimes with the pegs, like the round long pegs, it will go in a lot easier and stay there, but with these notches and keys, I guess you would call them, it is a little bit more difficult. So that should be long enough. It's really just to hold it in place while we're working on it. So next up, it would probably be best if we put it in the base first. So, oops, I dropped it. So have a little play around with it, and you can see, yeah, this is why you've got to hold it together. It just fell apart completely. So on the base, you can see that there is a long flat bit just along there, and that will match up with this bit of stone on the end. So I'm going to glue in to the base itself. I think that might be a bit easier. And once that's in, so it's completely fallen apart, as you can see. But once we put that in and pushed all that together and that together, that will go in. But I might actually put a little bit more glue in there. So it's a little like trial and error with a lot of these, and it's fine. You can always fix it. There we go. And I've got glue all over me. So you do have little holes at the bottom of the base where the glue does come out, and sort of that welds together. So you just be wary of that because you will get it all over yourself. So I'm just checking to make sure everything fits. Yeah, that looks really good. That'll actually go together really nicely. And finally, we have the head. So again, just checking to see if there's anything that I need to remove. I can come back and remove everything, which I will do. Normally I wouldn't. I would get rid of all the sprue lines and the mold lines. But in this case, it's really not necessary because I'm just trying to get it together. And this will go in like that. There's a few other lines here, so you can see there's a big thick one here that goes there and a thick one down there. So I've only used like a little dab of glue, but it goes a really long way. So There we go, and that just pops right in, because this is a peg and socket, so pops right in. You can see, I don't know if you can see it here, that there's now glue on there with some fingerprints. That's because I got the glue from in here on my finger. So it pays just to be careful. But we can come back and fix that up. So there we go. That's another one done. Now, the final one, we can just cut all the pieces out and put that together. So there's only the same amount as before. And again, there are some little fiddly bits that you need to be careful about. But to be honest, I'm not too fussed. These are pretty straightforward. Okay. You can see that there is a big chunky bit here, which I'm going to chop out. Nice. And the rest is okay. It's nothing major, nothing that can't be solved once it's all put together and stable. So we have 1 and 2. So these 2 big bits here, these need to go together somehow. So again, you have the socket and some little notches. So just test fit that. So it's almost like the reverse of the one we just did, in a way, kind of in a way. So that will go like that. So I'm just checking to see where connection points are. So there's a few around, but for the most part, a little dab of gluing there. Looks probably a bit too much. You just rub it on there. There's a little bit on the arm as well. And that goes in. So I'm just going to hold this again, and we saw with the last model how it easily falls apart. So you do want to be careful with that. So we're almost there. We're just got to stick the head on, which has a nice little notch. I don't know if you can see it. Nice little notch there that will go in perfectly. And we'll do that now. Alright, just the little touches of glue here and there. Oops, I dropped it. Just be careful because that blade there is very flimsy. And this will pop right in. And there we go. Easy does it. And you can see a little bit of fiddling, you can fix that up. And again, let's have a look to see how it matches. So on here, there is sort of like a triangle groove there, and that matches onto that part of the base. And really, these bases are really nice. You can really go to town when you paint these. So that goes there. Again, just be careful because it's still not quite all together, glue-wise. So you do need to be a little bit careful, and this will just slot right in. So there we go. That's all of them. So let's bring them all back in. We'll make some room. So, which one's first? I can't remember which one's first. Let's just look at the one that we did. Get them out of the way. So, you can see they're very intricate models. A lot of detail, like you can have some really good times painting these. And they go together fairly well. Like I said, definitely clean them all up first. So on this model here, there's a mark of the sprue there and sprue there. I would cut that off completely. And there's a few other spots too. So it definitely works to prep the pieces first. And we have this one here, which looks really nice. Again, you can see like there's the mold line there. And the reason it's not fitting together properly here is because there are some of the mold pieces. But that's fine, you're not even really going to notice that. And if you're really desperate, you can put some extra glue in there, or even if you want to get some green stuff, just patch up that hole. But we're not talking about green stuff in this series, because it's sort of like the whole Mortal Realms series is really like an introduction beginner series. So yeah, it's a really nice model. We have this one here. They're very dynamic in their pose. So get that a little bit closer. You can see like just wispy cloth, or it's probably not even cloth, like some ethereal fabric, I don't know. And you can see here that in this bit, I pointed out, it's very liquefied, so I can play around with that and pull it out. It's almost like this glue, and it's just melted plastic. But once that's all dried up, you can come back with a knife or a mold line remover and just come in and just clean that up. And I've just made a mess of it, but let it dry completely and then come in and fix it up. And you can get files and things like that as well to help with that. Finally, this one. Yeah, it's really nice. So there you go. for Myrmourn Banshees. So this is the construction video for issue 2 of Mortal Realms. They're very nice models, as you can see. Very, very nice. Very creepy and scary. So there we go. Hopefully this video has been useful. And if you have enjoyed it, please do subscribe. And we'll have all the issues coming out for Mortal Realms. Working on issue 3 at the moment. So definitely leave a comment and like, and I will see you in the next video.